Розпочинаємо.
We start working day in the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and now we will discuss KyivPride2017, what we're when, about the program, who will participate, how this will be organized, and we have Ruslana Panukhnyk, Director of NGO KyivPride, Zoryan Kis, Board Member of NGO KyivPride, and Sharygina. Good afternoon. I will start with the presentation of KyivPride. It's a big honor for me to describe this important event for Ukraine and our LGBT community. The objective of this year KyivPride and the topic of the KyivPride is the country for everybody, which is very similar to the slogan offered this year for Eurovision, which will be held in Ukraine. The last year, our topic was the security of the country, and it got good response in society. Each year, when we speak about KyivPride, we try to bring together society in general and LGBT community. That's why KyivPride usually is based on the two pillars, the Pride Week, which is closed by the Pride Parade. For us, this is the pretext to discuss once again the human rights, like it's everywhere in the world. So we discussed the human rights, the inclusivity, the meaning of inclusivity. What does it mean to include all the groups of people into society? And all those issues will be discussed during a week before Pride Parade. For example, we suggested the following topics. LGBT as the basis for solidarity of different organizations, how LGBT community may cooperate with other social organizations. We will discuss the faith and religions and how inclusive they are. This is a rather complicated topic for religious leaders and for LGBT activists who are believers also. Then we will try to establish the space for cooperation between LGBT community activists in Kyiv and in the regions. On the framework of this LGBT week, we will have the conference devoted to multiculturalism and identity in the post-Soviet space. This list of activities, as of now, is not exhaustive. You may follow our webpage in the internet, on Facebook, and the week will be finished with the Pride Parade, and Ruslana Panukhnyk will present this event. I think that everybody is interested to know when the KyivPride is planned. The Pride Parade is planned for the period between June 9 and 18th this year. The KyivPride is scheduled for June 18th. As for the march itself, everybody remember the success of the Kyiv Pride Parade in 2016, and we do not wish to step back from that level of success. And we plan this year parade, the big human rights protection demonstration in the Kyiv central part and historic part of Kyiv, and we coordinate our actions with the Kyiv police, with Kyiv municipal authorities, and we hope that it will be as successful in terms of public order and in terms of tolerance as it was last year. Well in advance, we will announce the dates, the time, and so not later than June 14th, we will announce the exact organizational details about the this march. Last year, we noticed that we need a longer route. 750 meters are not enough to demonstrate, and we would like to have a longer distance. The last year parade was rather modest. This year we plan to have more developed slogans, more focused scenario, more meaningful scenario for this parade, and this scenario will, the script will reflect the slogan of this year parade, the country for everybody. We believe that this parade is the biggest LGBT demonstration in the country, raises very important issues, because this brings to this brings all those issues to the focus of society, make them visual, and later we will be able to find solutions for existing problems. Unfortunately, we have issues with the LGBT community, and our country is still in the process for looking for solutions for those problem issues. I hope that Ruslan will speak more about those issues which we would like to raise via the means of our parade. Thank you, Ruslana. As my colleagues mentioned, Kyiv Pride, this is about human rights. It's not about sex. It's about human rights and equality, about equality for everybody, but not about specific needs of the LGBT community. And Pride Parade, this is about fairness and inclusion. Since the Pride Parade, this is about equality and human rights, I would like to describe briefly the issues with human rights for LGBT plus community in Ukraine. Probably you might remember that in autumn 2015, our labor code was amended in the way that it provided guarantees, employment guarantees for representatives of LGBT community. Unfortunately, since that time, the country did not make any progress in supporting the rights of LGBT community, despite the fact that Ukraine had made a commitment to make some measures to ensure real equality of LGBT plus people. This is part of our strategy on human rights strengthening 2020. Unfortunately, the measures which are stipulated in that plan, in that action plan, planned for 2017, they are the implementation have not started. Currently, in the parliament, there is a bill. Unfortunately, the draft was created, the draft legislation was non-transparent, and there were only official trade unions, democratic trade unions and LGBT associations. They were excluded from the drafting of that very law. We believe that the draft labor code, which currently is registered in the Verkhovna Rada, it has a lot of shortcomings, despite the fact that in the April, some amendments from LGBT community were entered to this draft code. Despite those amendments, which are already included to the draft text, nevertheless, we believe that it's not enough. And by the way, the EU requirements for visa-free regime are already implemented in our legislation about non-discrimination. So if Ukraine repeals the draft labor code, nothing will happen. Then the registration of partnership for one-sex or dual-sex couples, this step is not implemented yet. We observe open sabotage of this measure. On behalf of the Cabinet of Ministers, Mr. Groisman postponed signing of the decision authorizing or assigning the ministry to develop necessary draft law. There should be the Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Social Policy, which should develop this draft law and not have an official assignment from the Prime Minister. They stay idle. The next, in Ukraine, we lack legislation about counteraction to the hatred crimes. That's results in the fact that those people who might attack this year Pride Parade, they will remain, they feel the impunity, they think they won't be punished. The courts, by the way, as of today, the courts believe that hatred towards LGBT community shown by those who attacked the Pride Parade in 2015 is a measure which is in favor of suspects, not against them when it comes to court verdicts. We believe that LGBT community is part of Ukrainian society. It substantially contributes to the country's development, and it requires attention to its rights. Natalia Belovod, Kyiv TV channel, you mentioned that the route and the distance will be changed. Will you develop more on the route and the number of participants? Each year we try to increase the openness of the parade. We cannot answer your question now. We still continue negotiations with the police forces. Last year there were assumptions about Hreshatek, and this year we're discussing the possibility of this, but it's not decided yet. As for the distance, we would like to have 1,500 meters distance for parade, and we have canceled obligatory registration for the participants. That's one. We do not know how many people will participate. We only expect to have twice more people than the last year.
I have a clarification question to you as to security. You raised this issue yourselves, remembering the provocations in the past. You have mentioned that you have negotiations with the police. Can we say now, can we talk about the number of law enforcement servicemen, police or National Guards who will be there for the Kyiv Pride? First of all, the cooperation and communication with the police this year is very constructive and productive, just like the last year. We can say without any exaggeration that we have started trusting each other more, and it helps as to numbers of law enforcement servicemen. That's the competence of the police, of law enforcement bodies, and the number of people is defined not by the number of participants, but by the level of threat that the police envisages. And I believe that this year the number will be not less, not fewer, because the threats from our point of view are not less. Maybe the threat is even higher. And we saw during the march for the female rights on the 8th of March, we saw that, and we believe that the degree of security will be the same as last year, even higher. As organizers of the march, we would like in 5-10 years to see fewer law enforcers at the march, because this is how it's happening in all the countries, and that peaceful gathering, which shouldn't require such a high level of security, taking into account that the route will be longer than previous year, so we can talk about more law enforcers. No more questions, right? Any clarifications, any comments? No. Thank you. Then I thank you for updated information. I wish you good and quiet event and the tolerance to all. Thank you. The country for all.
17 червня.